Alright, hello. I got upcoming videos for Kome and Nova next, probably waiting for whatever hotfix D does before looking at those, but it's another Incarnon weekday, so we can look at the new Incarnon weapons, finally. I'm gonna start with the Sybaris and the Sicarus because those are my two favorite weapons. I covered them in the channel before, when they didn't have an Incarnon adapter. And I will, whenever I get the platinum to buy the new ones, showcase the new ones as well, because I think there is some potential on the other ones as well. But I'm just choosing those because they're my two favorite weapons out of the bunch. So let's start with the Sicarus. So the Sicarus got a few extra quality of life buffs that was really nice with the Incarnon adapter. Namely, even on its primary fire, you get free multi-shot essentially with Blazing Barrel. I'm not sure why you would ever choose this, because this is literally free multi-shot. It's absolutely amazing. You don't even have to aim headshots like the other one. Then weapon recoil, because you will see that the Incarnon form, if you don't have negative recoil, like I haven't had to use stabilizer because my Raven has plus recoil, and it was literally unplayable. Like there is a lot, and I mean a lot of recoil here. So yeah, minus recoil for me, definitely. And deadhead, obviously. So that would be 100% recoil decrease and you wouldn't need stabilizer at all. And then Survivor's Edge, because first of all, I don't know what this one does. It says increase base status chance by plus 5% and the effect doubles in Incarnon form. Now, why would you ever use this if this already gives you 10% status chance on both forms and then 5% crit chance on top of that? And it also doesn't work on the Incarnon form, you still get 5%, so it's just... I really don't understand. Now this one is just, yeah, damage is additive, no reason to go for it. Regardless, the Incarnon itself has some pretty decent stats, and you really like extra status chance on it. Extra status as much as possible is really nice. And yeah, the Incarnon has some innate blast damage, which is really weird. As you can see, there's no blast damage in the build itself. But what I feel like it's doing is that it has some unique blast status that it's applying. So we're gonna see that in action on a mission. Actually, no, let's just do Kuva. Kuva Fortress instead. Kuva? What are you? Lua. My mind is thinking about Kuva, what can I say? Anyways. So one bad downside of this weapon is that it takes a lot of headshots to actually get the form. Like any other Incarnon would probably have a maxed out form already, but this one actually needs a lot of headshots to get it. I don't know if that's a bug or it's intended, but it's really a lot. Also, there are so many bugs in the game right now, so we'll just ignore those. It's the reason why I'm waiting for hotfixes as well before releasing anything more. The bugs that are in the game right now are just insane. Also, I'm greeting my abilities, I don't know why. There we go. For some reason it felt mandatory that I need to get Incarnon from. Anyways, so you see there is no blast damage in the gun itself, but when you shoot, the enemies are primed with blasts on their own, which is really weird. Is it the fourth shot dealing the blast damage? I'm not really sure, but they get blast, and the blast deals a bit more AoE than the normal one, which is even more weird. So, you know, a lot of blast damage, higher radius on the blast itself, some really good numbers, but ultimately I feel like you need a build that deals less damage than what I have here, so we'll see that when Eclipse wears off. Oh shit, he took my gun. Oops. We see that when Eclipse wears off, we actually get a bigger spread, because I believe how it works and how it seems to be working is that the 4-shot is guaranteed at applying a blast proc. That's how it feels like. Or maybe it's the 3rd and 4th shot. I'm not really sure. Because with higher damages, you don't really get the blast itself. So as you can see, once again, stacking it even with the extra multi-shot from the gun, and hitting every shot as a headshot. It takes a lot of bullets. Like, it really does. But when you get to that Incarnon, it is pretty nice. It is not bad at all. There is quite a bit of damage to be had. So again, something like a disruption target, it will kill it very, very quickly. And it comes with some innate AoE mechanics that are happening through the guaranteed blast procs on the third and fourth shot respectively, which is what is probably happening from my understanding. I haven't looked at Wiki at all. I don't know if Wiki has any stats on these guns just yet, and how their mechanics work, but overall, some pretty solid stuff here. You can get decent time to kills here, really effective at higher levels probably because of that blasts, and there is some decent AoE in it, so knowing this, we can now try the same exact thing, but against disruption targets, so we see how much damage it actually does, because, you know, this weapon is mostly effective when you are able to do 2 bursts onto the enemy, in my opinion. Because in that way, you are getting more blast procs onto the enemy that you're going to kill. And these blast procs with the viral plus the electric that you do to the other enemies will spread, and you will get even more AoE. And which is why I built it for viral electric. So go ahead. But yeah, as I said, the only caveat for the Incarnon form is that if you want to use the Incarnon form, which, I mean, you should want to use it, you need a lot of headshots before you can actually use it. Like, a lot of them. The Incarnon form charges so slow. I don't really understand why. As I said, I'm pretty sure it's a bug, but we'll see. No Incarnon weapon charges this slow. But that's a bombard that's a bombard Eximus, I mean, and that's very, very quick kill on that guy. So that's deadhead stacks, like all the stacks, no priming, no armor stripping. Let's see what it does to the guy. It's the heavy gunner, so middle of the ground when it comes to DR, and well, I know Kavad armor stripped him, but from testing it doesn't take more than 1 burst anyway. So don't worry. Also, DE helped a lot with shield getting build dispatch by visually showing you when you have iframes when the shield actually expires. So playing things like Protea and Hildrin and all that has become way, way easier. So this is the Bailiff, the tankiest one. 4 bursts. We are at mass hack, so makes more sense. You see this weapon's power, and it generally is not a bad one. It is a decent Incarnon, it is pretty fun, there are some really nice mechanics on it, and you can probably get a lot of damage on it. Now, this is hit scan, so if you're wondering about multiplicative or additive CO, it is 100% additive. So, Serration plus Galvanized Aptitude should not be used, and if you have the chance to abuse some priming, then yeah, that's nice, but... So that's the Nox. Probably dies without me shooting a second time because of the blast proc. And last dude, we have 2 deadhead attacks, still 3, so he should survive a bit more. But as you see, he still does quite a bit of damage. Generally, a primer will help this weapon a lot when you want to do disruptions and shit like that. Even though it's additive, you don't use the serration mode, so primer will boost its damage by a lot. Plus, it can sort of prime on its own using 7 different elements. So impact, puncture, slash, viral, electricity, blasts, and... I mean, you could theoretically go radiation as well, but it's not that important, in my opinion. So we're gonna go back to the build. So it is what I cooked, at least, and what you can cook if you don't have a Raven mod. So my Raven mod, what it used to be is electricity and toxin. This allowed me to get free corrosive on my weapon without the use of prime cryo rounds at all or anything, so I could just go pure damage. Now with Jade Shadows and this in, Viral Electric felt like the most concise choice. And yeah, triple galvanized setup. I don't think it's the best one. You can probably swap this for some electricity more to balance out the percentages here. As you see, it's 58% viral, so more electricity would do this weapon pretty good. But since my polarities are like this, I don't have the way to do it, unfortunately. But overall, I was quite happy with this result. And without a Riven mode, you can simply just replace this with a Toxin mode, and you can replace this with an Electricity mode, and you would still be fine in terms of results. And you could easily do something else, but I would definitely suggest going viral for this one, because blast and viral normally is not possible, and because viral is boosting blast, then that is also really good. What else you can do is put rifle elementalist instead of this. As you can see, as I said, I cannot do it. I don't have the polarities for it, but it's something that should be looked at if you want more AoE. I think with status damage and the way this blast works, this would give you a ton more AoE if you want to go that route, and this build would be more focused on solo damage, which is both really nice. So that's about everything you need to know about the Sybaris, now about the Sicarus. So for context, the Sicarus, everyone knows this, but it's bugged. It's not working properly. It has the same bug as the Telos Boltor used to have back in the day, that was doing millions and millions of damage per shot. This is the exact same thing here, and it's basically all happening because of Galvanized Shot. Galvanized Shot is stacking multiplicatively with your Incarnon form based on how many bullets you have on the Incarnon form. So you see some quite silly numbers with this, using it. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be inherently bad when the bug will be fixed. Like, even if the bug will be fixed, this will still be an absolute god tier weapon. It will not just be a weapon that one-shots without priming, armor stripping, or anything like that, but you can still do stuff like outburst, you can still do stuff like disruption, target killing, and all that, and it will be absolutely insane. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, for the actual build, this just gives you extra stats. So build doesn't differentiate a lot besides this. Like, it's this plus whatever mode you want here. Maybe Bane mode might be like anything, doesn't really matter. This Riven, it doesn't replace any mode really. It's just the stats, like, kind of thing. So getting a Riven mode for this gun just makes your life easier because you have free slots of putting it in. Secondaries are way easier to mode even if you use all these prime modes. And I'm only using Prime Pistol Gambit on this one because I had formatted it for the past. I could still use Crippling Bullseye, but I kind of don't want to because I like the extra fire rate on these bursts pistols and burst rifles, which it just feels nicer to use. And I don't really mind losing that literal 13% crit chance to have a bit more DPS for my burst. So once I get Deadhead and Steady Hands, because of these weapons being Incarnon, having something like something like ammo mutation, it doesn't really matter. You're never really running out of ammo because you are using that Incarnon form most likely. So once again, I'm gonna show you the test. The build itself accounts towards having corrosive heat as your primary elements, and that gives you a lot more power. Like, a lot more power. Because there is two primed elemental modes, primed Convulsion and primed heated charge respectively. So as you see, this one charges way quicker, and the moment we throw it, we see 3 million damage, and yeah. You can immediately tell something is simply wrong. The moment you activate the Incarnate form, you immediately can tell there is something wrong. So, buffing up. As you see, it's the weapon itself, even without encounter form, is still really strong. These are corrupted enemies. I have Bane of Grenier on my Riven. We're still hitting them for quite a bit of damage with the bursts. They'll need generally one shot from my burst with I headshot them, and yeah. Even tested against heavy gunners at Eximus at level 200, this still kills them very quickly. However, opening the Incarnon form and hitting headshots, you can quickly see some silly numbers like 12 million and yeah, 10 million right there. And this is just with Deadhead. This is not with maxing out single target damage like using Outburst and all that kind of crap like some other YouTubers have already showcased, but it really is pretty wacky right now to use this. Now, you may say that, well, it looks like it's probably gonna be bad after it's fixed, and I disagree completely. We're seeing this without any buffs, and we're seeing that the normal non-Incarnon form still performs very well, which is a weaker version of the Incarnon form even if the buffs go away, or even if the bug goes away, my bad. So, I think there will be pretty much no difference in terms of the gameplay. The bigger difference will be on the numbers that you're dealing and how strong the weapon itself is. I don't know if you guys have watched Dystopia's videos recently. He has been showcasing this weapon off in the Simulacrum against level even 300,000, which is really funny in my opinion because it still kind of one-shots them after he stacks it up. But the worst part in my opinion about his showcase on those levels is that you see the enemies have an HP of 500 million, okay? Now, for the normal player, 500 million HP is not something small. It's in fact very insane. But me seeing that at level 300,000, the enemies are not tanky enough for me to not one-shot them with something like the Staltine priming and armor stripping, it's just laughable in my opinion. And it brings me back to the point that the game is at the moment way too easy and enemies need to be harder. Even if you could go past level cap, I cannot imagine how long you will have to play until you don't stop, until you like stop one-shotting enemies anymore. Especially if you go for a squad that has involved team play and some shit like that. Like we saw yesterday with me playing with my friend Divine and using Duviri Decrease and Nidus Wisp, which would be something you would be able to do with Komei now and Nidus Wisp as a squad, coordinated. And yeah, it's a silly man. Regardless, you can really see the power of this. It's kind of silly. So, I don't think there is any point of me showcasing this in a disruption mission. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna showcase the non-Incarnon form in a disruption mission because I think we can get a pretty good idea of how strong this weapon is in its Incarnon form if the buffs go away by looking at the non-Incarnon form and then, you know, adding some numbers, I guess. Stat-wise, Incarnon form is a lot more powerful, but, you know, it is quite interesting. Also, yeah, the passive bug, not the passive bug, the invisibility bug, T-posing frames and all that shit, you know. I'm quite surprised we still haven't seen any hot fixes about all of the bugs that are in the game right now. It's insane. And I do hope that when we do see a hotfix, it's gonna be about a lot of things. So, you see, one good thing about this is that unlike the Sybaris that we saw before, even with no stacks on multi-shot or anything, the encounter form, it goes out very quickly, which leads me to believe that the encounter form of the Sybaris charging so slow is most likely unintentional. So, we'll see, I guess. But let's stack a bit here so we can go into the guy without the encounter form. So we'll go just the weapon itself, no priming, no armor stripping. Well, I guess we armor stripped by accident. I can cap. But it does kill it fairly quickly. And as you can see, even for the heavy gunner, it does kill it quite quickly. So, now I'm gonna put Eclipse. Want to kill some enemies first to get the buff. Usually you'll run some kind of damage buff. So the armor strip almost came through the Sicarus itself. If you use something like a Tau Forge Archon Sword, you would get the enemy to have so little armor to probably benefit from your corrosive damage as well. Which is an old trick people used to do in Eidolons, where they wouldn't completely armor strip the Eidolon in order to gain the extra faction damage from running radiation against Eidolons, boosting your damage by 75%, which would be lost while you completely armor strip, because the Eidolon would lose its innate armor that you gain the damage towards. So, once again, that's an Ox, so... And the Kavat armor strips him again. So you can really see that the new precept mods have made the targeting of your animals way stronger now. And you can do some silly stuff with your companions being able to armor strip and prime at the same time. And I'm looking to do that into my Smira Kavat probably. I would hope to do it on the Ordaza Kavat, but it simply doesn't have enough status chance to do that. So we'll have to go with the Smira for that one. And the Ordaza is just a really nice crit tool. So now I'm gonna show you what the Incarnon form does onto the target, although we will not be surprised when we see that, well, it kills him without even using a burst, this one bullet. Because it is bugged, but probably one burst will be enough after the update goes live and fixes the Incarnon form, dealing way more damage than the intended values. So, that's about it for the Sicarus as well. I'm gonna just show the builds once again for both the weapons, because I just realized also I didn't show the Incarnon buffs that I did for my Sicarus. Just the build. So. No, misclick. So, here, increase base damage. Now, you can choose either of these. This is way better if you want to do something like... disruption missions, because you are gonna aim for headshots most likely in those missions, but this is for general play, and since your Incarnon form cannot hit headshots, like the bouncing of the bullets on the Incarnon form does not actually hit headshots, you will see that your main target may be dealt red crits all the time, but the other targets will not be. So if you want to go for this, go ahead. It will give you red crits pretty much consistently. It is really nice, but for general play, this one is simply better because it provides more AoE, and it's up to you to choose whatever. Now this one, I did go with magazine capacity. You can go with minus recoil if you want, but I didn't need it. Plus reload speed, nice also, but I think this is the best one. And here, we have 3 upgrades. Commodore's Fortune is really nice, but by far the best one is this one. So, especially if you have something that goes with a crit riven, status riven, whatever, using this is absolutely ridiculous. Because we're going to see that if, for example, I go with Commodore's Fortune or even this. Okay, let's do this. So, we have 34% crit, 29% status. So, this accounts to us having, on the normal, 447% crit, and 98% status, and on the Incarnon form, 169% crit and 98% status. Now, if we change to this, we get 169% status on the normal form this time, and 190% crits, sorry, not status, crits on the Incarnon form, but the status chance is now really low at 67% on both forms, so in terms of using bursts, rifles, and pistols in general, this is not good. But Wise Man's Regard, you put this, and now with the Raven mod that I have, because I have 100% crit chance, the status chance on the normal form and the Incarnon form is a whopping 178.3%. 178.3% status chance on a burst weapon is ridiculous. It is absolutely insane. You can even use this if you want for something like Encumber or anything like that, But just having this and having the extra hit and corrosive proc, stripping the guy's armor while you're shooting at them with pretty decent enough orange crits already, that's gonna be really, really strong. Way stronger than just getting straight up crit. Especially because if you do want that single target damage, you can just go King's Gambit. You can always... Wait, that's Sybaris. You can always just go King's Gambit. Which is pretty crazy. So, once again, the build. Stat stick Riven for Christian Statisticians. Double Galvanized. Some Prime modes. Steady Hands for that 0% recoil. Feels really nice. And then for the Sybaris, this is the build. This is Toxin Electricity, so if you don't have a Riven, you replace this with Toxin and add either Electricity or Rifle Elementalist onto Galvanized Scope, which is something I should do with Rifle Elementalist if I want more AoE onto this weapon. And for the forms, you get the free multi-shot, you get the minus recoil, and then you get the crits plus status chance, because the other two make no sense to be placed. So, thank you very much for watching this video. I'll have Discord and Twitch links in the description, and I will see you on the next video.